July 16th, 2018. First matter of business is to review the tentative business meeting agenda for next week. Councilman Kirk, you have the invocation. Okay. Then the next would be to move a motion to go over to accept the regular business meeting minutes, which everyone has already received. Any announcements? At that time, we'll have a public hearing on the ordinance now tentatively identified as ordinance number 1480, an ordinance requested by Barrel Chevrolet Incorporated to amend the Town of McCandless zoning code to change the zoning district of certain properties on Little Meadow Road in the Town of McCandless from R2, 1 and 2 family residential districts to C3 highway commercial districts, and amending the zoning map of the town accordingly. The public hearing will be reviewed at the zoning committee meeting on August the 13th, 2018. Formal action is scheduled to be taken at council's regular business meeting on August 27th, 2018. The public is welcome to comment on the proposed ordinance. Comments will be directed to the chair. Each person will have 5 minutes to speak. Any questions on anything so far? Any comments? Just chime in if you have questions about any of this. Next will be the reports from committees, finance and personnel. That'll be to ratify the checklist number 6 bills from June the 7th to July 3rd, totaling $583,160.47, which are on the bulletin board as well as on the website. Council also has those. And if there's any questions about any of these, please just speak up. Move to adopt ordinance number 1477, amendment proposed by Sheets Incorporated to amend conditional use standards to allow 2 service stations at signalized intersections within a residential commercial RC zoning district. Public Safety Committee will move to adopt ordinance number 1478, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1473 by reducing the no parking zone at the end of Collington Square to the turnaround areas only. Move to adopt ordinance 1479, ordinance repealing the following no parking restrictions on Pine Creek Road, Arcadia Drive, as shown on the town code section 50504B15 on both sides of Pine Creek Road from Perry Highway eastward to McKnight Road, B16 on both sides of Pine Creek Road from Perry Highway westward to Bellcrest Road, B20 on either side of Pine Creek Road from Minert Road east, a distance of 200 feet, and B34 on Arcadia from McKnight Road westwardly, distance of 715 feet. Public Works Committee will move to adopt resolution number 18 of the 2018 series, a resolution renewing the 5-year agreement with PennDOT for winter traffic services on PennDOT roads within the town of McCandless. After that will be a time for any unfinished business, new business, public comment, and then adjournment. Any questions or comments? Anything that needs to be added? Or
this would be the time to take any comments from the public, which you just said, ma'am.
okay. Anything from council? All right. You take the public comments. Just so
You take it according to our rules. The comments I'm bringing up to the president our rules for comments during this agenda review meeting, and they are performed the same way that we do comments throughout the business meeting, which is after each agenda item. So this agenda item has now been read. So I think this is the time to see if anybody else has any comments.
Any comments on the agenda for next month?
Good evening, members of council. My name is Ryan Wotus, an attorney with the law firm Goldberg, Kamen, and Garvin, here on behalf of Sheets. There was one item that I just quickly wanted to discuss before council that had been raised at both the public hearing and last week with respect to FHA financing for properties that are located within 300 feet of a storage tank. So I just wanted to clarify how those rules work and how they may be applicable. So what the FHA handbook provides is that those items, if it's located within 300 feet of a storage tank, it needs to be identified by an appraiser who's appraising the property. If it is located within 300 feet, it will be noted on that appraisal and then provided back to the lender, the mortgagee in that instance, who then could determine eligibility. So there is no express preclusion as a result if there is a property located within 300 feet of a storage tank. And there's specifically a letter that was issued by the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Field Office, which provided that the appraiser must notify to the mortgagee the location of those items so that the mortgagee can determine eligibility. So simply, if it is located within there, within the 300 feet, there's no express preclusion. It would move to another level to review that, but ultimately there still could be FHA financing placed on that piece of property. So there's no express preclusion. The other thing that I would just want to note is last week we had with us Chuck Worcester, our traffic consultant, who had provided a synchro analysis with respect to the existing traffic and then ultimately the proposed traffic conditions. He's here again this evening. We wanted to at least proffer that he could go ahead and show that, and if there were questions at that time, he's available to discuss that with council. However, obviously that's left to the council, but wanted to at least identify that he is available, and it could be helpful if there were questions from any council members if he were here while it reviewed.
Is it 300 feet from the tanks or from the property?
It's from the actual location of the tank to the property line of the subject property. So for instances with a gas station, it would be the tank location itself, not the property line of the gasoline station. Be 300 feet from the underground storage tank to the property line of the mortgage property itself.
There will be an
Where was
opportunity.
that? Just a real quick question about me. Where's that measurement made? The edge of the tank, the middle of the tank, some, you know, 300 feet from
It doesn't say specifically. There's really, the handbook
It
is.
could be a big difference. The
could be.
end of the tanks, the middle.
Clearly, but yeah, so I mean, even if you took it from the edge of the tank, I mean, I think that would be a fair measurement to take it from there.
There will be an opportunity also next Monday for comments, also before we vote. There'll be time for public comment also too. So
Okay.
This isn't your last chance to have a comment. Next week, there's also a comment before we vote.
And on each agenda item, just similar to this. So there's a public comment period at the end, but as each agenda item, as a motion is made, there'll be an opportunity for comments by council, by
Okay.
Sheets, anybody in the audience.
Right. So
Okay.
there's another opportunity.
Well, thank you, but wanted to at least address that since I think that probably was a question that council may have had after it being brought to your attention on two separate occasions. So I don't know if council has any position with respect to our traffic engineer, but again, he is here this evening to go ahead and provide additional testimony or address any questions that council may have. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Moots. I'm actually a real estate agent. I live on Montclair Avenue. Once again, I'm sadder
Hold on
than
just 1 second, please.
I'll try it.
She's really good, but she's new at this. There you go.
Once again, Sheets is lying to all of you. What they did say was that was the requirements prior to 2016 that they just had to notify the lender, and it could go through. There's a 2016 revision. I contacted the FHA field office today. There is an open case for us and the Montclair Avenue citizens. The case number is referenced on that printout I gave you. If you read it, it clearly says it will be denied FHA insurance. Not it may not, it will not. So I needed to point that out to you. You can call the 1-800 number. You could contact the people referenced. You can give them that case number that I just provided to you. I'm sick to my stomach that I keep getting questioned on this when we now have a certified letter from FHA and HUD stating that they just lied to you. I also want to say that I am just sick to my stomach about this whole ordeal, that it has gone this far tonight, that we have been put through this as citizens, through all this. We have heard 17 residents in our neighborhood speak against it, and I've only heard business owners and neighbors not in our community saying that they would feel differently about it if it was their community. I'm sick to my stomach to worry that my township may not have my best interests in their heart, but a gas station because they want the tax revenue. I also feel sick in my stomach that you don't believe me once again with the FHA guidelines, even though I now provided you with documentation. I feel sick to my stomach, excuse me, that Sheets has lied to you about the proximity of the residential houses, that they came last week and said, oh, they opened all these new stores and there's all these residential houses around them. The only one that we could find with any near it is New Kensington. I also gave you a market analysis of the homes that have sold within the last 2 years around that New Kensington store. I wanted to point out that their average sales price was $58,000. The low was $12,000, and they spent 67 days on market. Compared to our average value in this neighborhood of $245,000, $77,000 over the average Pittsburgh value, and 34 days on the market. Again, that last home on Montclair that just sold for $269 in 4 days. I feel that we were misled once again by the Sheets Corporation that these are comparable neighborhoods when you look at them in black and white. I feel sick to my stomach to know that last week we heard Mr. Ruhl, who owns A1 Comfort, stand up here with a bleeding heart saying how much he cares about safety, community improvements, but he would stand outside in the parking lot after last week's meeting yelling at Bruce Betty and the Sheets Corporation representatives about how much money he's going to lose if we mother effers win on Montclair Avenue. I'm sick to my stomach because I've sat in this town hall and heard other homeowners of these commercial properties, like the Fit Center, Mr. Frazier, literally stand up here and tell you that he will not fix up his property because it's old. Where we have 100-year-old homes, we have spent thousands of dollars maintaining and improving them, and we don't give up because it's an old house. I feel sick to my stomach that you guys are going to reward these absentee landowners with a big payout from Sheets when we're stuck to foot the bill of safety hazards, maintaining our wells, monitoring our wells, and the inconvenience. I also feel sick to my stomach to know that that an RC district has restrictions on coal combs stating that they can't be open past 11 p.m. selling ice cream, but you'll entertain the thought of allowing a convenience store to sell gas and alcohol 24 hours a day. I'm sick into my stomach to also know that looking back at the hours that my community has spent trying to fight this when we could have been spending it with our family, including tonight. I'm sick to my stomach to know that my neighbors and I have had to take home equity loans and drain our 401ks to hire attorneys to try and fight this against a multi-million-dollar corporation like a David and Goliath battle. I hope that you do the right thing next week and work with us to redevelop the area responsibly. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Okay, the text amendment starts out, whereas it will further the health and safety and welfare of the visitors of town to remove certain restrictions, et cetera, about,
Name and address, please.
oh, I'm
State your
sorry.
name again, that's
Michael S. Gronsky, 136 Montclair Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. That is a plain wrong assertion that adding a gas station will make it safer and better for the town and the residents and visitors. That particular passage was written by Sheets to suit only them and to allow them to evade the codified ordinances of the town, which was put there 25 years ago by a council that thought it was important. Sheets eventually claimed that they asked for it to protect Pete Menard, as was discussed at your April 16th agenda review meeting. It was noted at that meeting that Mr. Menard had no knowledge of that before. You guys told him. In short, they simply weren't being honest. They were taking a shortcut and asking council to be part of that deal with the devil. That is how we ended up here today. I'm condemning the false narrative about this area being an especially dangerous traffic area, and the traffic improvements would make it safer. That narrative has been spread around by all the irresponsible property owners and their friends. The people on Montclair that travel in and out every day, most of them for decades, with their small children and medium children and all their family members, they don't think it's a dangerous intersection. But they say the absentee business owners who are making a killing in the deal are the only ones that think that. Don't be fooled. When the Sheets in Harrison Township opened, they applied for a license to sell beer. They neglected to tell the Highland School Board about it, even though there was a middle school right across the street. It seems the LCB can reject that license if a church or school is within 300 feet and they object. Since the schools weren't even notified, they couldn't object. That is how Sheets does business. Even after the board objected after the fact, they didn't relent. I was just there on Saturday. They're still selling alcohol there now. Greed is their mantra. In the same newspaper article, this is from the Valley News Dispatch, and I sent it to all of you. Okay? In the Freeport School District, they started selling beer on a property that borders the high school over the objections of the school district. They didn't listen. They didn't care. What a great neighbor, huh? Sheets' traffic consultant, he's here tonight. He never said that the accident rate would go down. I didn't hear that from him. Correct me if I'm mistaken. He said it would flow better, which I believe, but he neglected to point out that the residents of Montclair would now be required to cross 3 lanes of traffic instead of 2. And they're on different cycles. 2 going north, right? And then the left turn lane going onto Old Route 19, Old Perry Highway. Now, I kind of think that's less safe. I don't have any data. Do we really need data for that? And also, we have no comparisons with other intersections that were ever made. Maybe this intersection is average. Maybe it's better than average. Who knows? Okay, our house was built in 1925. We are only the 4th owner of the house. Each successive owner maintained and improved the property. That is what responsible property owners do, and they should be encouraged to do. The 3 businesses that Sheets wants to swallow up are in bad shape. It's the owner's fault. Instead of making a killing, they should be issued citations. That's called responsible property management. Code 715 of the ordinance dictates how properties must be maintained and the appropriate actions to remedy the situations. The town should enforce that. Maybe then the property owners will be more responsible. It beats building a Sheets and rewarding the slackers. The traffic consultant also said that improvements should have been made to this road 15 years ago. If you want to improve the highway, the town should pay for it without involving Sheets. You've been off the hook. You're 15 years behind already. And you have plenty of tax money due to all the other developments in the town over on McKnight Road. I'm okay to leave it the way it is. I really am. We have never complained. But if you're going to improve it like that. Don't improve it by putting the Sheets there and have them dictate the terms. Okay, I grew up on a street that was right across a railroad yard from a blast furnace with nothing in between. That was accepted by the neighbors because Jones and Laughlin Steel and the P&LE Railroad provided literally tens of thousands of jobs, and they kept all the businesses in the town going. That is acceptable. When I was at Sheets in Natrona Heights, they had a sign advertising for a store manager at $14 an hour. The last time I made $14 an hour was 1985, and I've never made a lot of money. I've been a very average wage owner. Please vote no.
Any other comments?
Hi, my name is Nancy Rupp, and I live at 231 Montclair Avenue. We are asking council once again to please reject the proposed zoning revision to allow gas stations to be less than 1,500 feet apart to accommodate Sheets. The new traffic signals Sheets once installed will be a total traffic nightmare. Driving north and south on Route 19, turning onto Highland, turning onto Gloria, turning in and out of Sheets, and turning onto Montclair. When pedestrians hit the crosswalk button to cross Route 19, there will be a delay for traffic to stop and will cause major backups in all directions. Mrs. Powers questioned Sheets on the July 9th meeting. how she would make a left turn from Highland onto Route 19. She seemed quite concerned. How do you think the residents living on Montclair Avenue feel about turning onto Route 19? I feel it's a very bad and poor decision to build a Sheetz on that little corner of Montclair and Route 19. There's plenty of property for sale, 2.3 acres plus or minus, across the street from AMCO Transmission on Route 19. There are no homes involved, and it is all commercial property. Joseph Sabino Mystic spoke about clustering businesses. You would have Advanced Auto, Howard Hanna, and Build the Sheetz. There you have your cluster of businesses. We all did our homework and gave you proof, written documentation, and backed up all our findings on FHA loans not being approved, leaking gas tanks, and contaminated wells. We also spoke to you about child safety, increased cars on Montclair, drug use in Sheetz's bathrooms, beer sales, noise and lighting from Sheetz 24/7, 365 days a year, and the traffic signal nightmare. We hope you read the information that was provided to you. What else can we do? What else do we have to do to prove to council our concerns and the danger it would impose on our neighborhood, and have you see what a huge mistake building Sheetz on the little corner of Route 19 in Montclair would be? As I stated last week, business owners on Route 19 don't live on Montclair Avenue. They close up shop and get to go home to a quiet and peaceful home. We would be stuck with this mess. Council asked Sheetz a few questions on July 9th, but Sheetz was unable to answer because they were, quote, not real estate experts. Were those questions ever answered? Why was the little corner on 19 in Montclair selected? Is it because of the slum landlords? You can rehab all three buildings involved and make that little corner of Route 19 in Montclair beautiful. We just hope politics isn't playing a role in this. Council should be working for the residents of McCandless and backing us up and be on our side, and not on a huge corporation as Sheetz. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hi, my name is Suzanne Gronsky, and I live at 136 Montclair Avenue. I just want to say that frankly, I am appalled that you, the town council, have placed us in this David and Goliath battle with Sheetz and disregarding the fact that your job is protecting the rights of the businesses and residents of McCandless Township. If you move ahead with the Sheetz project, you will be placing our families, our grandchildren, friends, and neighbors in an unhealthy situation and negatively affecting the value of our properties we have resided in responsibly for many, many years, and cause us to use our retirement funds to litigate. If you move ahead with this project, we collectively will make it our mission to notify all the voters of McCandless how you have failed in your duties of protecting residents, and we will not stop short of including all elective offices, including any politician or politicians involved in this project. You are accountable for your own actions, so please make the right decisions.
Any other comments?
My name's Mark Hamilton, 224 Montclair Avenue. I wasn't going to get up and say anything, but since we're on a roll, I read the letter that, or the Tony La Rosa put in the Penny Saver, and about Ralph Ladon's, how it didn't affect those areas at McCandless Crossing and at McIntyre Square. There's no gas stations at those facilities. They're enclosed facilities they're hard enough to get in and out of on their own, which it wouldn't bother the other neighborhoods as much. But a gas station right there is a problem. Just had 2 more grandkids this month. Proud as could be. Everybody on the street. There haven't been this many kids on that street for over 10 years. And now every house has grandkids. The traffic from our families is getting heavy. I always worry about my girls when they leave. Tell them to look for the arrow so they can get out as it is. I don't know how many times. I got hit twice up there. I'm sure everybody's been in an accident up here because it's just that tough. And I just don't think that we need that here when there's so many other options to go to, like it's been mentioned. So thank you, and I hope you do the right thing.
Hi, Marilyn Gisani, 8725 Casa Grande. I just did a little bit of research for myself. What was mentioned last week was that there were numerous sheets in in residential neighborhoods. I looked at 30, and out of 30, there were 2. And if you consider a residential neighborhood that has railroad tracks in front of it, if they're going to accept railroad tracks, I'm sure they'll accept the sheets as well. So that one doesn't even qualify. The other non-residential or residential neighborhood that they consider was 3 houses facing the pumps. Around the corner, you had nothing but rentals because they couldn't obviously sell their properties. So the fact that they were saying that these are in residential, they're none out of 30. And I have my list here if you'd like to see it. You know, we're not opposed to something going in that spot where it's vacant or where these dilapidated houses are currently. We just don't want a gas station in our neighborhood. I don't think it's too much to ask. I think that if you were living on those streets, you wouldn't want it in your neighborhood either. Please, you know, reflect on that. Please consider that whenever you're making your decision this coming week, and vote in favor of not going with sheets. With regards to the traffic that they did a study on last week, you know, my particular plan coming in off of Prescott, we had a 3-way intersection for a long time. In fact, it was kind of funny because when my daughter was doing driving, her instructor actually thought she was turning in the wrong way because of that 3-way entrance to our plan. Well, I can tell you now with the bank, and I have to say that the bank is a beautiful option that they put in for us, and we certainly are happy with that because we don't have anything that's 24/7. But I will say this, they cut it down to 2 lanes, which there was a lot of confusion before when they had 3 entrances. We no longer have that confusion. There's 1 way in and 1 way out. Adding more entrances to get into this new sheets, I don't see how that's going to make it any better as far as traffic flow is concerned. I think it's just going to bring more chaos and more confusion as to which way people want to decide to enter in. So please take that all in consideration whenever you make your decision. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. We'll move to item number 3 then. Liaison for the boards and committees. The reports have been sent to council, and we've looked over those. Are there anything you need to highlight, Greg, from planning?
No, it's just the omnibus rule was the major thing on the planning commission. They're trying to amend it and to improve the home occupations, home occupation provision and some other provisions like that. So it's still a work in process, and that's all.
Anything from zoning? Anything else?
Zoning hearing board, I think I sent you the opinion that they wrote on the small format hospital. They approved their variance request for the resource protection land, and so that's, as far as I know, that's going forward. And the only other thing, there were just small. This month was just small, like variances for fences, and so nothing really earth-shattering.
Okay. Okay. MTSA.
Nothing this month, just normal operations. We've all been provided with the minutes from the meetings.
Okay. Franklin Park Ambulance Authority?
Just reporting that there is a planning retreat for strategic planning planned in October. You'll be receiving notice of that in the future. And they continue to discuss ways to close their expense revenue gaps. That's all I have.
Public Library?
My report is in the packet, but I would like to remind everyone that August 12th is the 50th anniversary for the library, and everyone is invited. And the other thing that I'm very happy about, and so are the people from the library, they think that they've reached a point now where in the fall they may be able to break ground for the Learning Garden.
Anything else from the library?
No, that's it.
Okay, North Hills Council of Governments.
I don't have anything important to say.
Okay. Joint Rec Board.
Again, nothing important to say.
Just a comment on your behalf. The program ended last Friday. Another successful year.
MIDA.
Bill?
Nothing to report.
Volunteer Firefighter Steering Committee.
Nothing to report.
North Pittsburgh Community Development Corporation.
Nothing to report on either. That's a very little activity, and it's in the preceding period. That's what's occurred. No activity, and don't anticipate anything significant coming up.
Okay. The McCandless North Allegheny Heritage Center. This gets the award for the longest title. Finance, Development, and Promotional Committee.
The committee met for several months and wrote up a draft for rules for the Heritage Center. And John Bajarski and Diane Illis, who is the chairman of the committee, are here and are open and ready to answer any questions that any of us might have.
I think John.
John, would you like to
brief overview.
do a little bit of a presentation?
Introduction.
Okay.
And Lev had to say what you said. Earlier this year, council requested this arrangement here. The members of the committee began working on it since March. We also had some help from some of our advisors, such as our consultant, Carolyn Keller, and Amy Steele from Northland Library. Policy basically was put together based on the known limitations of the building, as well as research on other rental policies at other museums and local municipal rentals. Last month, the committee voted to forward it up to you guys, and look forward to hearing what you have to say. Diane is right there if you have any further questions.
Were there any suggestions or comments on this document?
Madam Chair?
Oh, go ahead.
I do-
Go ahead. I can wait.
Yes. Regarding item 2, events must utilize the space in a way that supports and relates to the mission. Could I have some clarifying explanation on how restrictive that is in terms of being able to use the grounds and the facility for events?
Well, what
Diane,
that is-
if you could come up either at the podium, if you have notes there, you might want to use the podium.
We did put part of the mission statement in saying what the mission of the Heritage Center is, and it has outreach programs, displays, and a reference library for the education and enjoyment of patrons. We encourage participation and inspiration through educational offerings which serve the needs of the local public. So when we present programming, that's what our mission is. And when we rent the space out to other organizations, we want it to be in that same area. That's, that it would be educational, that it would be historical, that it would be cultural, things like that, not just basically a meeting space for anything.
And that's the use of the space internally.
Right.
So.
We adhere to the same rules as outside organizations.
So we've had a lot of advice given to us from we've affiliated with the Heinz Center, and we've had some great advice from them. Robert Stakely is in charge of their affiliate operation, and we met with him just last week. The staff members met with him, John Bajarski and I, and Carolyn Carlins, who has helped us immensely on preparing our core documents for the Heritage Center and the accessioning, meaning the inventorying and cataloging of everything. The idea is that the space itself was designed for the display of materials. The surrounding grounds, Stakely has acknowledged and has encouraged that the town utilize where we have positioned the Heritage Center relative to our Devlin Park, which has a nice pavilion and ball field, which that area is very conducive. Tennis courts and so forth are conducive to school reunions, class reunions, family reunions, and other events, and that we link the Heritage Center to that. So if someone wanted to have a permit for the center itself and link it to the grounds here, I think that would be acceptable because the interior of the building contains a lot of items that needed to be protected, needed to be cleaned and prepared, and they have been. And there are a number of other items that are stored down below, so that the plan is that as new items are being received and items are being received regularly, the display can be rotated and be rejuvenated regularly. There's your committee is
Right.
working now on a couple of ideas for that. But my last comment is about the exterior. Having no food and beverage open in the center precludes spillage on documents that when Joe Bullock, who provided the bulk of what we have there so far, would bring his subdivision documents, old plans and maps. That was one of the most popular things that he would lug from his old site to our community day and display in this room. And people would flip through them, and Joe would have to always observe, and we have our volunteers trained to protect those documents from being torn or whatever. But the possibility for spillage and crumbs and so forth is just too much of a problem to have for internal. But externally, large groups can meet at the pavilion. Small groups, we've had our own when we've done an anniversary celebration, our first anniversary celebration, tents outside for shade or for beverages and food and so forth. I think the idea here is to, the purpose of this committee is to promote the center and to flesh out plans for that, and to plans that also include ways that will help make it more self-sustaining. So I think that the whole concept, I think, in that line is where the center itself cannot be used as it's not a party room. It
Right.
wasn't intended to be a party room. There's not very much room for space there. Part of the collection has to be moved, and when we put presentations on. And the basement, again, is for storage and additional collection, and volunteers working on cataloging, they're doing that on a continuing basis. So the exterior is great for that kind of interaction.
I think when we put the rules together, it was all predicated around the fact that this is a museum. And when we took on the collection, we took that on as the stewards to protect it. And not only do we have what Joe gave us, people bring things in all the time. We also have rotating things that are on loan, and we need to protect that collection. And that's why we have the rules for no food, no drinks, because not only can you get the food or the drinks on the things, like right now our display is wedding dresses. Well, you can imagine if somebody comes in with dirty hands and touches a wedding dress. But not only that, when you start introducing food, then you can bring in the possibility of pests. And then you have that with a lot of paper. You can imagine what that leads to. And I can tell you from my experience, I work in a library where we rent the space out. And once you start allowing food and beverages in, your cleaning bills go up. I mean, it just is so much harder on the facility. So this is also for the protection of the investment that the town has put into that building.
I'm sorry, yeah, my question was not related.
I'm sorry, I'm just going on and on.
You guys are talking about item 5 of the guidelines, and
Okay.
my question was related to item 2 of the guidelines and
Okay.
getting clarification. I understand the need to protect the items from food
Okay.
and beverage. I'm talking about the actual use
Okay.
of the facility, though, and restricting it in some way that would prevent venues to occur in and around the facility that may bring additional people to the Heritage Center and give them exposure to it that they ordinarily wouldn't. And
Could you-
I'll cite for you my thinking when I visit the Heinz History Center,
Mm-hmm.
and I never miss the opportunity to walk through the floors of all the displays. But I'm usually there for either an energy conference or a wedding or some other venue that has nothing to do with the Heinz History Center, you see. I've gone to Engine House 25, and in the basement is a wine cellar, and I've been there for a number of receptions. Nothing to do with the Clementi History Museum, but it's a wonderful entree onto it, and it leads then to guided tours and the experience of the heritage that otherwise would never occur.
Okay.
And so I'm concerned about the restrictive language in item 2
Okay.
that would prevent that type of activity.
Well, could
Can
you?
you speak specifically to
Well,
that?
If I could piggyback on
Yeah, if you
that.
could give me an example of what you're
We've
referring to.
had book readings there, I believe.
Right.
That I'm pretty sure weren't history books. They
But
were
that would be considered
children's
educational.
I don't know what the books actually were because I didn't go to the children's, but
Okay.
I mean, some children's books are educational, some are not. But again, the parents could walk around the museum while the kids are getting a book reading about whatever kids read
That
books
would be-
about today.
That would be perfect.
So
What are some things you're saying shouldn't go there? What are, we're hearing what.
A
could go-
birthday party
Okay, a birthday party.
where you have cake and ice cream, or just, I guess like just a meeting that is not, just a closed meeting that is not educational or cultural or things like that. Yes.
I have a couple of questions. I'll be really quick as humanly
Okay.
possible. I hope.
Okay.
First, with respect to these guidelines, are these formally adopted, or are these sort of talk pieces to be considered and then at some future date adopted with finality?
Well, this is what we've come up with to present to you
Okay.
for your approval.
Now, I have been to many events at the library, and frequently you can get a cup of coffee or a cookie. I've never seen anybody serving sandwiches or anything that might have a serious potential. Well, you can always spill a cup of coffee on stuff. But are those going to be not permitted now?
Well, this is not the library, this is the Heritage Center, so
I'm sorry, I meant the Heritage Center.
it would just be water at this point, yes.
I would think that coffee wouldn't, I don't know the rules in Northland, and Amy Steele's not here to help us with that, but I wouldn't think coffee's taken into the stacks of books.
Well,
Or the DVDs, I don't think that'd be a good idea.
right, I would think that
I
they'd
would
be in the
hope-
conference rooms and meeting rooms,
Right.
but not.
I've had wine there at the gala.
You bet.
Yes.
Well, that's just a thought. I have one other thought. On item number 5, I know some museums don't allow flash photography because of the concern about injuring some really fine work of art. And I certainly respect that, but is that where we are with these? You can't take a flash photography of say, one of those soldiers, those depictions of a soldier. Would that be something is it categorical total prohibition against flash photography?
Toby?
I would agree with that.
According to the rules, yes.
Okay.
The core documents that council adopted, that's it.
Most
Okay.
phones nowadays, they don't need a flash to take a
Right.
picture indoors anyhow.
That would be-
I do have one other question.
Okay.
On 12, perhaps it's my math, but it says 30 hours required to rent minimum of 2 hours, and then it says a discounted rate of $25 an hour. Well, isn't 30 hours divided by 2, or $30 divided by 215?
$30 is for anybody outside.
Yeah, that's a
25.
discount for McCandless residents, get it for $25 an hour, and somebody outside the
Oh,
township
okay, it's
would pay.
only for the McCandless residents, okay.
Right, yes.
All right, never mind.
I think, Diane, one of the things that brought up, I sit in on the meetings, and one of the things that brought up this not having food inside is when we talked about the possibly having class reunions, that people wouldn't be bringing food or drinks inside of the museum.
But they could certainly
That
have it
they could do it
outside.
outside, but
Yes,
not bring all
but
of
just
that
not in the
inside.
facility
And
inside.
I think that's one of the things that instigated this.
But let's say the gardening club
Yes.
that only has water. Can they have a meeting there?
Bottled water.
Yes, I would think so.
Okay, so, because I think it says somewhere that it's not to be used for meetings.
It's
number
not to be
two?
used for meetings that are outside of the mission of the Heritage Center, but a gardening club would be considered educational.
Okay. Mr. Solicitor, you'll have to help me with this one. I thought that maybe there should be something in there somewhere, and maybe it's not appropriate to say personnel groups and subjects or programs shall be compliant with all federal, state, local laws, ordinances, complying with the town mission and statement of equality, diversity, and inclusion. Does that sound like something that should go in there someplace nice?
That sounds,
Discrimination and viewpoint.
Does that sound like something that we could add in there somewhere? Does that sound nice?
Yeah.
Just something that says that anything that in there has to, be lawful,
Okay.
and that it will comply with the town's mission, your mission, of course, too, but just the town's mission and our statement, and that's on the website, Statement of Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion. That's on our website.
Any other questions?
I would really like with the report to just have a number of how many people, I know you keep up with how many people come through, it's just for our information,
We do have a count.
top to
Yeah.
thousand.
Yeah, we do have a count.
But I just mean in the report,
Okay.
when we read it each month, just so we can, know how many people are attending. Are there any other comments from council or any suggestions on this document?
Madam Chair, I just have another comment. Is there within the committee any interest or effort in modifying the grounds in some way to encourage these types of additional venues to bring folks in adjacent to the Heritage Center to experience it while, for instance, a group of scouts may be holding a meeting, a troop meeting, or a class reunion, or a birthday party maybe?
I think, yes.
I think we should add language like that.
Okay.
To
So,
encourage the use, the idea is to draw attention, there's no question to draw attention.
that's what we're
Thank you
trying to
for
do.
connecting my threads.
By all kinds of ideas have been vetted, but I don't think they've been, this sounds a bit more restrictive than maybe it has to, so that it's understood that attract people so that, okay, we can do something here, let's go inside and see what this collection, I heard that this thing is here, let's go see what it's all about, absolutely.
So I think what I'm hearing is that number 2 needs a little revision.
I think so.
In how we define it. We meet on Wednesday.
welcome that.
That's something that I will take back to the committee.
And possibly number 5, not that it needs revision, but it needs
Investigating?
a section maybe saying, the outdoor area can be used for, you're not, it's not that you're not allowed this food and drink on the grounds, but you need to, if you want to have it, you can have it outside under a tent, and maybe even bring something to wash the kids' hands with if there are kids, before they enter the building.
Sounds good.
Well, along with suggesting that people bring groups in, we talked today, and Joe Bullock is going to bring in the principals from North Allegheny, so that they can see what's inside, and hopefully we'll have some classes, do some field trips there.
Yeah, that was one of the big target areas that we had hoped NA
Right,
would
to have-
marshal up, yep. A lot of
To have
field
some
trips.
field trips that won't be so far away, and the school would support that, with short trips.
Thank you for your feedback. And
I want to tell you, this demonstrates a lot of thoughtfulness and a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate what this committee is doing to help promote our Heritage Center. So I do commend you and the committee. Thank you for
Thank you
your
very
work.
much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council before we take some from the audience?
John, do you have anything else to add?
I think it's all self-explanatory at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Finish it all in, and then the comment would be, this is the agenda item, number 3 is the agenda item, so you just ask if there's any
Okay,
comments.
that's probably reasonable. Okay, all right, we'll take the comments at the end of this agenda item. Okay, Community Day Committee? I do not have anything.
John?
We are moving along, if you'll mind my interjecting here. We are moving along. We are looking for any other food vendors might be interested in having booths there. Also, anyone else that has any ideas for the parade. So we're open for any suggestion. So we meet monthly and work on this, and as it gets closer, we will be meeting weekly. So if anyone has any ideas or you'd like to help, we're here and you're welcome.
Has there been any discussion on the alcohol sales, the potential for alcohol sales?
No, we haven't had a meeting since you brought that up.
EAC, the minutes are in your pack. I don't think I have really anything new. We're planning to help the town out with the, what we can do in this, for the sustainability certificate. And our next cleanup date, October 13th, with the rain date of the 20th. So if you have any groups that are interested, church groups or Boy Scouts or families that are interested, the AC is also looking at adopting a piece of local road, and we'll be getting out that information of what's involved in that, and you become responsible for that section to clean it a couple times a year. You get a little sign up there and to help keep the litter cleaned up. So look forward to that. And I know like families will take sections, sometimes companies will take sections, or departments and companies will take sections, or Boy Scout groups. So we really encourage you to look for that and participate in that. Okay. Personnel board?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the citizens about any of these commissions or boards or committees? Okay. Report and correspondence from me. I think I've given everybody everything as we've gone through. I don't think I have anything additional. Town manager's report.
If there's one particular highlight, it would be my item 5 about the significant action that we take each month working on our MS4 pollutant reduction plan for the year. Again, this is a new program where under our 5-year permit, that each municipality gets a 5-year permit if DEP allows it to continue with responding to water quality and stormwater management issues, and to continue to be proactive in our community. Stormwater management has been a hallmark of McCandless government since the Stormwater Management Act was passed in 1978. So this is evidence once again of us in this case. What I'm particularly reporting on are 5 projects in the vicinity of significant flooding that we have recently sustained. This dovetailed perfectly with us putting together our first pollutant reduction plan for this year's budget when we got our DEP approval early in January of this year. And we're doing a stream bank restoration project on the stream adjacent to Highland Road. It's the headwaters of Lowry's Run, one of the feeder streams that go into Lowry's Run. There's a stormwater pipe that's being redirected because where it meets this stream, it can cause potential damage and erosion, which is we're trying to prevent erosion. And this stream, we're going to use a technique that we'll be using in future years under this program as we try to, DEP wants us to get and now be involved with municipalities to rehab streams to reduce the amount of sediment that washes away with regularity. So we have a lot of stormwater management that's been done on new developments, and some we have done some rehab work to try to capture stormwater for a number of existing developments, but there are still houses that were built post-World War II and businesses and so forth that really stormwater management wasn't a concept until in the late 1970s, so we're addressing that. The Harmony Drive stormwater system is simply, that's to bring, as water comes down from Harmony, we're going to be rebuilding Harmony Drive, and it's the last road in McCandless to receive a curbing. And the Highland Road Storm Serve, we are working diligently with and receiving a great response from Allegheny County on the combination of us working on a pipe that will receive water from the Harmony Road side. And lastly, the trolley court detention basin is the kind of thing. This detention basin was one of the prototypes that was put in the early 1980s, and it definitely needs rehab. And it's on our council has been budgeting for the last 6 or 7 years a rehabilitation program of stormwater management facilities. We have 64 that we publicly own, all of us taxpayers own 64 of these facilities and manage them. So trolley court is going to certainly help with the flooding that's been occurring by enlarging and reshaping trolley. That will help this situation. That's really, I think, one of the highlights. If the council has any questions, ma'am.
I do. The Harmony Drive, how much longer do the people on Harmony have to wait for their road to be repaved, because that was supposed to be at the end of or part of all of this? This is why we were waiting on it?
Drainage first. When the flooding pointed out that the kind of partnership that we would need from with Allegheny County, which again diligently been working on throughout this year, and also a way to bring down the stormwater from Harmony down to Highland, because when you put stormwater systems in, you really start bottom up. You do it where it connects toward the stream and then move your way up. Gateway Engineers has almost completed the design of the stormwater system up on Harmony. Harmony's paving is now scheduled for next year. It would be next year's paving program, so that we can get the drainage work completed as soon as we do the drainage work on our 2018 program. All the rains we've had have been difficult for anybody doing construction outside. It's held us up the same 2 months or so. It's held up everybody else. Our crews are doing a great job of catching up. We're almost caught up and have almost all the stormwater for this year's road program done. So we'll be able to turn to some of these other projects and then this one next year. So the answer is get the drainage system to feed into, and then we'll build the drainage system probably simultaneously along Harmony, and then be able to tie it in with the inlets and so forth.
Toby, would you
over the
mind
winter.
speaking a little, excuse me, it's really difficult to
I was-
hear you so far back from the mic.
I'm sorry, I was answering this question.
I
So
think you're
basically,
fine. You're great.
Mr. Mertz's question was about the drainage on Harmony. We'll be addressing that shortly, and what we need to have some place to tie it into down on Highland Road and to bring it down to Highland Road. Well, staff and engineers walked that last week. It's a difficult stretch. It's pretty steep. So we're going to, as I put in a report, check dams will be built to help slow the water before it comes down. It's pretty complicated. It got more complicated when we saw how much flooding can occur at that area.
Right. So you're saying there's
Next year.
no way that it's going to be this year?
It's
at the
not on
end of
this year's
year,
paving program, no.
And it's guaranteed to be done by next year?
Well,
mean, they've
if
waited
I was in
a
charge of the
long
weather, I would guarantee it. But since I'm not, I don't mean to be flip. But weather can help, but it is intended, fully intended.
Is there a way to move that towards the front of the line? If we
Full intention would be that it would be done next year. No, listen, it absolutely, that road is the worst road maybe in the town.
Right,
It is in the town.
it's pretty rough.
It's almost.
They said they were actually not even using one side unless they had two cars were coming past. Everyone was using it as a one-lane road.
I've driven it deliberately a number of times in recent weeks, especially and for this meeting recently, and it is.
Can we get some patches on it?
We have patched, and the patches now have patches, so that if we do that anymore, it's going to really make it more irregular. The thing that really needs to be done is what we plan on doing is take it out, put a new road, put a new road in.
I just think I've had enough complaints about it that
I have addressed some.
I think they're definitely tired of driving the one-lane gravel road.
Yeah, the town planned to do Harmony Road over again a number of years ago. And instead, it was just able to repave it without the curbs. We were unable to secure rights-of-way for the drainage, and so council did not want to use eminent domain, which is a polite thing to do, so we just paved it. Now, that paving is shot, obviously, and the time is nigh. So, yeah, the answer to your question is it'd be foolish to say guaranteed, absolutely, but whatever the next closest thing to that is.
Well, hopefully we can move it to the front of the line next year.
Front of the line would be fine.
One thing I wanted to address is the Savvy Citizen number, which is our town app, where you can have what's going on in the town just kind of sent to your phone. We're 1,791 users, which is pretty nice. I do want to announce to you and to people who may be watching the video that the town's working very hard to try to keep you informed, and that we have this app. We also have McMail, which can be sent to your email, and it really you can sign up for all of these on the town website, and so that will be delivered to you and keep you updated on what's developing in the town, so you kind of know what's going on. Also, we have a Facebook page. Has a lot of nice, fun things on it too, but is a good source of information too. So I really encourage you to subscribe to some of these so you can kind of keep up with what's going on. Anything else from council about the town manager's report? Any questions from citizens about the town manager's report? Is there any report from the town attorney?
Nothing new. It was distributed last week. I have nothing to add.
All right, so I think we're going to move to my page. We're going to go to move to our interviews. Page, okay. We're going to interview candidates for the Environmental Advisory Committee. Should we put a little? Where can they sit?
We gonna do that in
this
here,
room?
or are we gonna do
Well,
that?
we have too many people to go in the other room, so let's do it in here.
Everyone's staying for the interviews.
Yeah, maybe those people will.
So we want to see who,
Yeah,
say
see
who
who
wants
wants
to
to
lead.
say.
You want to take a 5-minute recess before while we wait to see?
We are going to do these interviews and then the executive session for a personnel interview, and that's all we're doing. We're not going to, it's nothing else that's going to be discussed, is that?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, just for clarification purposes, is there going to be an additional public comment on the prior agenda items?
We made comment after each item as we
Yeah, I
went
didn't know if there
through.
was a general public discussion. If not, that was
Right,
my question.
no more
Just trying to
public
clarify.
discussion.
Yeah, that's it.
We're done with
Okay.
that.
Well, until next week.
Yeah, and,
Well,
well, till next
tonight,
week.
yes.
Correct. Just was for clarification for
Okay.
this evening's
Right.
purposes.
Sure, yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you. Okay, so if we want to let, so what do we,
See if anybody else is anxious to.
why are you so going in the little room?
Well, it's better for the people to, I don't know what they would do, sit here and face us like they were on jury trial.
That's a little easier this summer.
Feels like we're waiting for people to leave, so we can.
Well, get up, go to the bathroom, get a drink, I'm going and getting a drink. 5-minute recess. Yes, Kim?
Yes, 5-minute recess.